late 1970s and early 1980s saw the growth of a serious heroin problem in the city of Dublin. A combination of international events and the activities of some of the city's major criminal families brought cheap heroin onto the streets in abundance. The areas worst hit at first were the south and north inner city flat complexes, where children as young as 9 years of age started abusing hard drugs.
The way it was affecting people was, it was to children, and people were terrified sometimes to come out. I mean, then there was a plain area across from the flats, and it got to the stage where they were just lying around, and some of them was actually shooting up in front of the kids. Like, they didn't care, you know. It got really bad, and there was one case where a girl thought a child had stuck a needle in herself, and that really got people going then, because there was syringes being found all over the place. So that was when we said, we've had enough, something will have to be done. No one else seemed to be doing anything. The police didn't want to know about it, and the government, I mean, they were coming in looking for their votes, but they didn't want to know what problems we were having in the flats.
I was raising 3 children at the time, were coming to teenage age, like, you know what I mean? And I said to myself, well, if I'm raising them, like, as babies, I protect them so much from, you know, from tablets and disinfectant and putting out of their reach. And why should I not still protect them against drug pushers? Because that was more of a danger, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're going to buy the heroin, they're going to steal to buy the heroin. And it was going to break my heart to see my son going on drugs. So I said, well, I'm just going to do something better. And even the small kids knew where the pushers was. There's 2 in each block. So then we just decided that we were just sick of it, like, you know, we formed the women's group through Cafe. Just talk one day in the block. It was a nice day, we were all sitting there. And we seen this pusher going to a door, and she just handed out the pack like as if it was, she got a license to sell it. So I have a fake concern and said, get him sick of this. She said, just hand out his drugs like Smarties. So we call a meeting that night, the meeting in the youth centre. So we all went to the youth centre and had about 12 women. And we're naming all the drug pushers and decided what to do about them. So we said if we couldn't really solve the problem on our own, we needed the men behind us. So we called a meeting for the following week, and the men turned up. Well, some of them.
Yeah, what we done was, we had the meeting and we invited him around, and he didn't come around, and somebody had said he took his wife and kids out of the flat and went off. Yeah. So we decided the best thing for him was to evict him. Yeah. And so we said we might as well do the 3 in 1. Do Fisher, his mother-in-law up the back, and his sister-in-law next door.
So we all marched around to these 3 drug main pushers in the flats. And we formed the line and just politely just got the stuff out of the flat. And carried it out, didn't break anything though. There's no violence. Even the ornaments, the big Fatima ornaments was carried down and put in the block.
When they decided to evict the 3 pushers that they evicted here on the night, that really people realised that the pushers hadn't got no power behind them. You know, before that they used to think because it was the Duns, and like the 3 that was evicted here was wings of the Duns family. They were in-laws and that, and people was afraid like the Duns would come down and the Duns would shoot you and that. But when they realised that they were able to evict Bio's mother-in-law and his sister-in-law and his brother-in-law, and there was nothing done, they realised then that there was a stronger power behind them than what there was behind the pushers.
And it was a success because the flats was a cleaner place after that. And then addicts that lived in the flats did get help. They always could come for help whenever they wanted it, at any time. People brought them to Jervis Street every morning and brought them back. And then the people that brought them to Jervis as well was being intimidated by police. They were getting stopped in the middle of town, getting searched and getting told, "You're wasting your time bringing them to Jervis. Should they be back on the gear in 2 weeks' time?" That's the kind of attitude that we had to put up with, you know.
We didn't plan for anything. Like, what we just wanted was, we wanted to push us out. And like, we never sat down to think like how it was going to carry on and expand, and that, you know what I mean? Like, we seen that we could clean up our area, so why not help others and encourage others to do the same in their area?
The young girl, an addict.
From these beginnings was born the Concerned Parents Against Drugs movement, which rapidly spread across the Dublin area from complex to complex and to the housing schemes and the city suburbs.
What do we want? When do we want it? Pushers, pushers, pushers! The people standing over there, would you ever join in? Your children as much risk as ours. Please. By the Concerned Parents Against Drugs.
This movement expanded despite the hostility of Irish governments, unfair treatment from the media and police harassment of concerned parents.
I'd like to explain why the Concerned Parents...
Push back, please.
I have two children, both of them were on heroin. My son is in coal mine, he's nearly finished his course down there, thank God. But he is still frightened of coming out to Ballymun over the pushers. They're all over the place, no matter which way you go. The addicts I feel sorry for. My sister-in-law, Maggie Whitley, she is pushing. And she is one of the main pushers out here at the moment.
Does anyone know them?
Well, the main reason why I'm involved with CPAD is I'm living in Ballymun for the last 11 years. I have 5 kids. The eldest is he's 12, and he's at the age now that he will try anything. And what is kind of happening down in the shops, as I have seen it myself, and the drugs being passed around, in the flats, syringes being used, and they're there on the ground and that. The place has changed. The people who are happy here have moved out for reasons of drugs more than anything else. There is 600 flats in the Mun vacant. So a pusher can actually move from one place to the other. The corporation could even help us by boarding up these flats or by giving them to people who are genuine. The pushers would have nowhere to go. The CPAD came out. The first meeting they had down the shops, I was there, and just listening to them, they made some terrific changes. The pushers got scared. That was definite. They got really nervous about it, and they knew then that they had a fight on their hands, that they just weren't having it all their own way.
Now, Geezer Ray's going to speak. And I always tell you something, right? All you certain parents here from Blanchardstown, Cabra, right? Finglas, right? Look, hold on for a minute. There's no support here from Ballyfucking Muck. There's no one here from Ballymuck. Yeah, I'm talking about it, right? I was playing, right? I have an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old young fella standing beside me selling drugs, and that isn't good. And I had a 14-year-old young one, right, carrying drugs for me. Right? I never dealt in drugs. Right? What? Just hold on and let him have his start first. He's entitled to his start. Just hold on. Let him have his start and don't interrupt him first. Now, if I was pushing drugs in Ballymun, right, I wouldn't be in Ballymun, right? But another thing about it, if I was pushing drugs, you're gonna have to fucking shoot me.
And I saw a man, right, and 3 others who were standing selling drugs quite openly, weren't even trying to hide it. Geezer Wright was involved, he was taking money, and there was a couple of youngsters and he was kicking them out of the way, and there was 2 girls bringing stuff across to him, and I definitely saw him doing it, so he was definitely pushing drugs 2 Monday nights ago.
We don't have to say this again here. We don't have to go through this evidence again. We went through it last week, right? And he was told to go. So now I think that decision stands. Geezer Wright goes.
All those in favour?
Yes!
All those against? I see 3 hands against. I've only done any don't know for last week. No, you stand there and defend the pushers.
Well, I tell you something, right? I'm a junkie too, just off there, right? You know, dear? But I tell you something now, you don't fucking know. Has any of you got the antibodies?
Yeah, I
Have you? Well, then you've only 6 years to live. Now, I'll tell you, I wouldn't have known that, only I found out I had cancer. So keep supporting your fucking pushers and end up like that, right? The only reason I tell you something, you're backing them fucking up because you know you won't get your fucking gear. But you get cured!
That's just one of the examples of what addiction leads to.
I'm a fucking junkie and I have, no, I don't understand, I have the antibodies, right? And I tell you something else, the reason why I buy drugs is because nobody else in this fucking town gives a shit or won't help me. You don't get by off Jervis Street because they haven't got enough beds. You're fucking left waiting for weeks and weeks for bike courses. How do you expect to get fucking help? A concerned parent say they can help you. Well, let's see them helping us get bike courses.
Hold on, move on, please.
Hello. My sister was threatened 20 minutes ago by people who are drug addicts.
Just get the guy ahead, that's all she's asking for. Everyone else was listening to you.
2 nights ago I was going into my flat and I was nearly raped by 2 junkies, by 2 pushers, because I wouldn't buy what they were offering me. And the same pushers, yes, the same fucking pushers that killed my brother, 32 years of age, with 1 handicapped kid and 2, yes, I am from Ballymun.
Shut on to your question.
You're only fucking them up. Take them fucking out. They're the killers of your kids. You think of that. All I want is me and my sister to be left alone. She's only fucking 17. I am a junkie. I was a junkie. I'm off them. We were threatened last week. We were threatened 20 minutes ago over her. They didn't threaten me. They're not threatening me. Threaten me, not her. She's only 17. She's due her baby. Leave her be. She has got nothing to do with it. She lost her brother, yeah. So did fucking I. The dress we're living in has got nothing to do where we're living now. All we want is a fucking life to bring her baby up. That's all we're asking for. Don't threaten us. If the people in Ballymun want to get rid of the drugs, stand by us and fucking young people like us. If you have kids, stand by them. Just not us. There's not just me and her, there's more.
We'll find out who is threatening the girl anyway. But as I say, if they're that much of fucking cowards, then why should they be living among us? If they're going to go along and threaten, they should come along here tonight and they should say it to us, because we're the people that's going to fuck them all out.
I'm quite certain in some ways we did step outside the law, with much regret. You know, I feel people are entitled to protect themselves if the law doesn't do it.
You see, they weren't doing enough about it, and that was the reason why we were there at court, because they weren't doing enough about it. We were doing their job for them. That's the way it was, you know.
It's not what we're going to achieve. The point is we're going to be there. That's the main thing. We're going to be there for addicts, to help addicts. We're going to be there for families, to help the families. We're going to continue working.
Standing by the shop fronts, out of the rain, cracking the same old jokes day after day, watching everybody else rushing around. And it's only Monday morning, another week to pass away. It's only Monday morning, another week to pass away. It's only Monday morning, another week to pass away. It's only Monday morning, another week to pass away. In their eyes, and it's tired of waiting. It's raging, raging. Don't you look twice tonight. It's raging, raging. And there is no time left to talk about solutions. It's raging, raging. Keep your distance tonight. Don't you look twice tonight.